Hi, my name is Jordan Green, and today I'm going to present my interior design capstone project. The name of my project and building is Hope's Haven. Although I do not have the ability to showcase every room in my design, my goal today is to show you that a building of this proportion is possible and should be created to help autistic adults. Before I begin, I would like to briefly introduce myself. I am an interior design major and a communication minor at Mount Mary University. My personal design philosophy is to help those who can't necessarily help themselves and to create spaces that have a positive and healthy impact on their end users. This is my older brother, Doug. He is the entire reason why I decided to create and design Hope's Haven. Doug is severely autistic and nonverbal. Growing up with him, I was able to see how smart autistic individuals are, especially when they have environments that allow them to flourish. Hope's Haven is owned by a family ownership group. This is their very first autistic living building and facility. Hope's Haven has created an entire community with the understanding of how unique and special every autistic individual is. Their mission is to create a place where autistic adults can live and flourish in a unique, healthy, safe, and stable environment. They like to say, "We wouldn't change these special individuals for the world, but we will change the world for them." The intentions and goals of this project is to create an affordable autistic living community that provides the residents with the ability to live fulfilling and enriching lives. This community's goal is to create a place where autistic individuals can live or go during the day, and to help these individuals with therapies, educations, and doctor oversight. This project will focus solely on creating a design for autistic adults who fall within the level 2 and 3 of the autistic spectrum. Before I dive into my building's design, I would like to provide a brief overview of autism and the importance of a facility like Hope's Haven. Autism is a complex developmental disability. The symptoms that are commonly associated with autism are repetitive behaviors, social skills, speech issues, or no speech development. Doctors can now accurately diagnose autism in children by the ages of 2 or 4. 1 out of 66 Americans have some form of autism. Autism cannot be cured, and the most common form of treatment is treating the symptoms with medications and therapies. Although there are a lot of individuals with autism, there are not many facilities specifically for autistic adults. There are 3 levels on the autism spectrum. People with level 1 on the autism spectrum are typically labeled as high-functioning autistic adults. They have atypical social interactions, low amount of restrictive or repetitive behaviors, and a normal to above normal intelligence. Those with level 2 tend to have social dysfunctions, some behavioral problems, and some difficulty with verbal communication. Individuals with level 3 have more impaired social skills, behavioral extremes, impaired mental or cognitive functioning. However, contrary to the label that doctors have placed on them as low functioning, these individuals have the ability to be very gifted in certain things. Currently, there is a severe lack of programs and resources for autistic adults, and even more so for severely autistic adults. With only a small amount of program and aid for these adults, their care falls on their families. These individuals have the ability to turn to government for some federally funded aids, but these programs only provide a small amount of assistance that is actually needed for them. Hope's Havens and users will be considered multi-generational, with individuals ranging from 21 and over. This building will specifically be for those who have been diagnosed with levels 2 or level 3 on the autism spectrum. This is because these individuals require more care and are less likely to be able to live independently from their families. The average state has 1 to 2 group home facilities for higher functioning autistic adults, or level 1 on the spectrum. The owners of Hope's Haven have chosen Wisconsin because there is a very small amount of programs for severely autistic adults. Wisconsin currently has no facility specifically for levels 2 and level 3 autistic adults. Most buildings are not designed with autistic individuals in mind. These individuals have a sensitivity to their environments that must be taken account of. These sensitivities can sometimes be light, acoustic, and sometimes even smell. Autistic adults tend to respond better to environments that have more structure to them, too. Hope's Haven will be renovating a school in Madison, Wisconsin. This school is primarily a residential area, which means that there is less likely for any exterior sensory problems. This building is also located right down the street from a medical care center, which will allow for residents to be able to have more doctors. It is also located very closely to the Ice Age Trail, which is a large walking and nature trail in Wisconsin. The original building is 2 stories and has clear distinctions already built with public and private. This building's architecture begins to build out the villages for the residents, and it overall has a less institutional feel than typical living facilities, which is why the Hopes Haven ownership group has decided to renovate it. The building of Hopes Haven has 2 building types, I-2 as a living facility and I-4 as an adult day program. The living facility will be for residents who live there full-time and have 24-hour staff. The adult day program will function more like a regular school and will be open during business hours with staff that work specifically in that part of the facility. My goal for this design is to change the definition of independent. I want to create a building where autistic adults can be independent in their own way and utilize the building to help them do this. This is my project concept. The building will be broken down into 6 unique villages per floor, allowing for residents to create a home environment. The chosen aesthetics will create an overall timeless and transitional design. Each village will have their own unique color scheme and design elements to aid with wayfinding and to create individuality. This aesthetic will connect the villages together while also allowing them to be unique in their own way. The main floor plan of Hopes Haven has a central core and a wing on each side. The main core houses rooms that non-caretaker staff would utilize, and it also houses 2 exam rooms and a doctor's office so that the on-site physicians and nurses have a private and sterilized environment for resident care. Each wing is a pod that houses 3 villages and has a horseshoe-shaped circulation. An addition in the back portion of the building on the first level will be utilized as the adult day program. The pods and the adult day program all have classrooms, activity spaces, lounges, dining rooms, nurse touchdown, and medicine rooms. Cool-down rooms were also designed into any space residents would be for long periods of time. Here is a snapshot of the 4 pods in the building that house each resident. There are 2 warm and 2 cool pods that will split up between 2 floors. Each pod has its own unique color scheme to allow residents to understand the difference and to give them the independence to understand where they are in each part of the building. Here is a diagram that shows 2 pods on the first floor and how their colors differentiate their locations in the building. Here is an example of a large village in the waterfront pod. The floor plan of this village is shown on the left, and the materials are shown on the top right-hand side. The nurse's touchdown and medicine room are located alongside the dining room so that the staff have the ability to easily administer medicine during mealtimes. This is shown in the bottom right rendering with the frosted window. There are 2 main lounges on each end of the corridor to help encourage interaction between residents during the day. All of the fabrics and furniture frames that were selected are easily cleaned and durable enough to last in this specific environment. The frames in the middle of the page are for the common area. The lounge chair and love seat are used in the lounges at the end of the corridor, and the stationary rocker and ottoman are used in lounge space in the middle of the corridor. Although these fabrics utilize pattern and color, they do it in a subtle way to create a beautiful and home-like environment that will not overstimulate the residents but provide them with comfort. Here are 2 larger renderings from the waterfront pod. The top left-hand rendering is of the dining space. It features a soffit with accent paint and surface-mounted decorative fixtures. The rendering on the bottom right shows one of the inn lounges with the chairs and love seats and decorative back pillows. Within each pod, there is 1 large activity space. This means that there are 4 large activity spaces throughout the building. All of these spaces are designed to help promote interaction between residents of different villages and pods in a structured environment. The theater can be used for movie nights and other activities for the residents. The bowling alley is simulated through Wii Bowling and allows the residents to have fun and play with each other. The multisensory room is designed to allow residents to have a variety of stimulus around them at once. This room features bubble tubes that go from the floor to the ceiling and are illuminated from the interior. There are large sconces with fiber optic cables that the residents can play with and experience. And the game room can host larger activities than what the activity spaces in each pod can host, and is also equipped with larger tables and more storage space. The rendering on the top left side is the bowling alley. This space will have TV screens that have Wii attached to them. They also have faux bowling pins and artwork to add to the fun bowling environment. The rendering in the bottom right is of the theater. There are two accent walls of the theater that both have sconces to create a more hospitality and theater aesthetic. There is also a projector in this room to be utilized for the movies. The rendering on the top left is of the multisensory room. This room has sensory panels on the left wall, a crash pad in the back right corner, and recliners that are separated by privacy curtains. There are fiber optic sconces that are all located next to the recliners for the residents to use. The bottom right rendering is the large game room. This room has fun artwork and plenty of storage and space for any games that the residents might want to play. Here is a peek at the Adult Day program. The space plan for the two focal rooms is at the bottom of the page, and the main materials are in the top left. The library is on the left side of the space plan, and the activity space is on the right-hand side. These spaces are visually divided through bookshelves. The activity space is designed to be utilized for games and fun activities. The library is meant to be utilized for calming and quiet activities. Within the activity space, there is a custom table that I designed with a company called SurfaceWorks. This is a flip-top table that also has a leaf. This unique table allows for individuals to work by themselves if they are having a bad day without being moved out of the room and into another location. The activity space utilizes more lively colored stripes because this is a space where more fun activities will happen. The library utilizes 3 different types of casual seating so that people can sit in a space and piece of furniture that best fits them. The yellow floral fabric will be used on the backs of the chairs in the library to create a serene and calming environment. Here are 2 larger renderings of the spaces I just highlighted from the Adult Day program. This space utilizes a lot of natural light, and it helps highlight the openness of the large space that the residents will be able to freely use. I truly believe that if a facility of this caliber existed, severely autistic adults would have the chance to live in a space that helps them in all aspects of their lives. I would like to thank you very much for your time, and please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.